Studies show that children who learn compassion for animals show more compassion for humans. So teach your children well. Learn more at stopbigcatabuse.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to acknowledge that you're lead and turn it into gold. Welcome to Alchemy 101 on the Artist First Radio Network. All past shows are archived. You can find them at artistfirst.com. Now here's your host, Halo Marquis.
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight? Thank you so much. So this is Halo. This is Alchemy 101. Tonight is very, very exciting. I'm going to be giving you guys a very big overview of this, I guess, life's vision project, whatever it is, that's been many, many years in the making. Excuse me. Sandra and Judith, hello, guys. Welcome tonight. I will do my best to keep up with the chats going on. Sometimes I miss it, so I apologize. Anyways, so tonight's show, I'm going to do a couple different things. We've upgraded the studio. We've got the green screen. We've done a number of different things. So I'm going to do my best to keep it running how I believe it should. But in case we have any accidents or anything, I'm warning you now. So, but it'll be a great time, I promise. So here's what we have going on tonight, guys. Tonight, I want to talk to you about elemental mastery of yourself, not just in the metaphorical sense, but also in the real life, tangible version of being able to manipulate these energies, these elements around you as we are able to. Okay, so tonight on Alchemy 101, which the radio show, this entire program that we're doing was designed to give us a way to reach out and really talk to you guys about this type of stuff in the first place. So this is what I guess the full circle, as it were, is starting to kind of look like. So it's really, really exciting. Order of Alchemy is going to be a study in the Jedi arts. Now, when I say Jedi, don't everyone panic and freak out. And I'm not talking about the Lucas version. Okay, what I'm talking about are the old Egyptian pharaoh guards that were these mystics that understood life force energy, elemental energy, that in a mistakenly way, similar to how they called Tesla wizard, they were called mystics, wizards, so on. And it was, again, just an understanding of different energies and different elements that we once upon a time did have access to, that we still do, but we don't have a place that we really openly talk about it, practice it, have a place to learn these type of things. Okay, so now, oddly enough, we do have light swords that we call light extensions, as using a form of martial arts as a form of discipline, because in order to be really mastery of your entire self is going to require your physical as well. So this is something that I'm working on all the time. So don't feel too rushed. Know that, like everything else within alchemy, it's always a process, right? So I'm going to pull this up on the screen, I believe, if you guys are with me on YouTube. If you do like what you see tonight, please like, share, subscribe. It really helps to make it easier for other people to find us. So this is what I'm going to pull up, right? For the Order of Alchemy, studying the Jedi arts, this is kind of a part of what the prologue looks like, all right? So if you're not on YouTube with us right now, don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and read along, make it a little bit easier. So as with each plane, there is a refraction of light that's available. Now, this plane that we're currently on is comprised of 7 refracted colors of the visible spectrum. Now, our physical form is a reflection of each plane that it resides in, and in turn, we are a collection of the visible spectrum manifested inter-elementally. Okay, now, there's more after that, but I'm going to break that down really quick. What I mean by that is the same way that the colors of the rainbow, the spectrum that we have access to, each one of those resonates specifically with a type of element, with a type of energy, and all of those elemental energies reside within us. And we are kind of the life, if you will, or the spirit of these elements, all the way connected back into source, God, whatever version, creator that you want to go with. But for this plane and where we are, these are the elements that we have direct access to. Now, once you've mastered these, you can move on beyond that. And even when you get into deep astral projecting and such, the other places that you go, you're able to do different types of thing because the spectrum of light that is there as beings of energy that we are is able to refract it differently. Okay. And please go back and rewatch this and listen to it again if need be. It is a bit heavy, and don't worry, as the Order of Alchemy becomes available, we will be having an actual manual that we'll be shipping out to everyone. We'll be doing hands-on classes, courses, so on. And that will start online, and we'll have some locations here in Portland, Oregon. So manifested inter-elementally. Now, each element holds a key essence of life of its own energetic property. Now, this correlation is why the red from bottom or from root or from the earth gradiently goes through all the other colors in the spectrum until indigo and purple, which those two are actually knowledge and spirit attributes, or light and balance elemental energies. And all that, again, resides within us. So with enough practice, we should be able to learn to reawaken and master each of these elements, not only within ourselves, but also those in the world around us. So again, when I'm talking about this, guys, I do specifically, intently, and in all honesty, believe that I'm talking about being able to control and move the elements of earth and fire and so on, like we see in the movies, like we hear about being done in other parts of the world or in deep mystical places. All right. And these, again, are just people that are understanding energies the same way that, you know, we recently discovered some things using the CERN Hadron Collider, that there's maybe some other type of dark matter out there that we weren't sure of before. So it's interesting to me that we're in the time of all this knowledge and all this information, and we have this idea. I don't know if it's arrogance, if it's ignorance, whatever it is, but again, as a society, right? Not everyone, but we have this idea that we figured it all out, and if we can't see it or touch it, it's not there. But we've consistently, as far back in our remembered tracked history, had leaps and bounds consistently all throughout that. So the idea that this mystical, magical, energetic, psychic, whatever it is that you want to call it, is not a real thing or even a relative possibility just doesn't make sense to me. And very similar to where you can go from not being able to bench press 300 pounds and that's something being impossible, with enough practice, guide, dedication, so on, you are able to beyond and get past that impossibility. So why not be able to do that at the metaphysical form as well? So Order of Alchemy is an introduction to learning how to, even if it is in the beginning, I promise, but metaphorically, a way to use these as a guideline, as a mantra, as a way of life, right? As a modality, if you will, right? And these are, again, are just old Jedi practices or alchemists, whatever it is that you'd like to call it. Brian, man, glad you made it tonight, brother. It's going to be exciting. So that is kind of the brief, I guess, introduction, if you will, for the Order of Alchemy. All right. Now, I found this amazing video, right? And it was on the BBC network, right? And unfortunately, I have not got my radio video mastery down just yet to where I can do it perfectly. But what I am going to do is, for you guys on YouTube, I'm going to share it so you can see it. And then I'm just going to kind of read along, okay? Because tonight what we're going to talk about overall, again, is the elemental mastery. But to give you guys kind of a preview, I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and kind of cover the broad, but still pretty narrow, pretty detailed version of our Earth form, which is our Gaia form. Okay, so when I'm talking about becoming a elementalist, an alchemist, and learning to control these elements in your life, consider for a moment that if you looked at a tree and consider that tree to be Earth, which is what it is, right? And you looked at, like, what's the best way to give this tree the best chance of survival in its current environment, right? And you looked at it that way. then you would consider all these things to make sure that this tree could be the most optimal version, beautiful, perfect version of itself possible, right? Now, if you look at or think about a fire and think about how it can rage out of control, or it can cook your food, or it can start to go out, or it can start all over again from a single spark. All of these attributes are things that if you apply to yourself, to your person, you would discover some very, very different habits and ideas that you have about how you're engaging and living your life without fully recognizing the rainbow body that you have, without acknowledging these elements that are within you. Okay, so tonight we're going to get into what the Order of Alchemy, Gaia form, mentality, spirituality, really focus is. And now I am working on videos for the light extensions as well. The color that is going to be red. I don't have a red one with me, but when I say that we've got them, I mean we've got them. All right, so so give me just a moment to pull this up. And so again, this is on the BBC, British Public Broadcasting Service. You know, I don't own the rights here or anything. I'm going to read along with it on the radio, but it's something called the Wood Wide Web. Okay, so it's pretty interesting. So again, out in Radio Land, I'll just be reading along here. So it says, trees may look like solitary individuals, but the ground beneath our feet tells a different story. Trees are secretly talking, trading, and waging war on one another. They do this using a network of fungi that grow around the inside of their roots. The fungi provide the trees with nutrients, and in return, they receive sugars. But scientists have found this connection runs far deeper than first thought. Check this out. By plugging into the fungal network, trees can share resources with each other. The system has been nicknamed the Wood Wide Web. Hard to say. It's thought that older trees, fondly known as mother trees, use this fungal network to supply shaded seedlings with sugars, giving them a better chance of survival. Those trees that are sick or dying may dump their resources into the network, which might be then used by healthier neighbors. Plants also use fungi to send messages to one another. If they are attacked, they can release chemical signals through their roots, which can warn their neighbors to raise their defenses. But like our internet, the World Wide Web also has its dark side. Some orchids hack the system to steal resources from nearby trees. And other species, like the black walnut, spread toxic chemicals through their network to sabotage their rivals. Abhorrent cybercrime aside, scientists are still debating why plants seem to behave in such an altruistic way. The hidden network creates a thriving community between individuals. When you are next in woodland, you may think of these trees as part of a big super organism, chatting and swapping information and food right under your feet. Now, I don't know about you guys, okay, but to me, you could take a lot of the information we had right there and take out words like trees and replace it with people. We have our network. We have our fungi, our things that attack, our things that are attached to us. So when just watching that video, guys, again, if you want to look it up, it's What is the Wood Wide Web on BBC on YouTube. Go back and watch that and listen to it a couple times and really start to dissect it and apply those same ideas to yourself, okay? I'm telling you, there's so much information that's just right there. It's unreal, okay? So give me a moment to pull up this other page really quick, and we are going to get started into the earth form. Okay, so, and anyone, if you guys are with me on YouTube right now, any questions about anything, feel free to chat. Judith, Brian, Sandra, great seeing you guys here tonight. Let's see, and here we go. So, you are the earth, okay? Now, each one of our chapters, if you will, I'm still working on the name. So guys, understand this is a work in progress, but I wanted to do it very hands-on and very interactively to make sure we have all the bits and pieces. So this is a vision that I was given. These are downloads I've received, best practices that I've used, and other just information I found from doing the research that I do. Okay, so because it is an ever-growing idea, it is something that I want to have feedback for, so we can build, again, the greatest possible chance that we have to be able to evolve past this mundane, angry, depressed version of life that we have, right? If we have purpose, we're not depressed. And using these ideals and system, I promise you, you'll be able to break down all sorts of different barriers to get yourself more rooted, if you will, within your perfected version of your lifestyle that you can create. I promise you. Now, before I forget, tonight I am drinking an amazing tea. Guys, you know, I got into this tea thing, I'm telling you, from a place called Fly Awake in Portland, Oregon, right? The owner, I believe the gentleman's name is Kevin, and you can just tell him, hey, I want to have this type of feeling, and he'll give you something perfect. So tonight I'm doing a combination of a strong snake on the old mountain, right? Absolutely amazing stuff. So let me get a little of this in. It's very earthy. Get connected before we get into this. Oh man, beautiful, beautiful. So you are the earth. Each one of the chapters is broken down into its mantra. So as we're teaching the Gaia form, you'll be learning how to connect and balance out your root chakra, your root form. And along with the light extension form that you will learn also will be based out of Tai Chi and some other things about balancing out your root and your earth. So the mantra for this, right, while you're meditating, you're taking your deep 10-second, 4-second pause, 10-second breaths. Your mantra is, I'm strong, I'm stable, I am the earth, and the earth flows through me. Okay, I'm strong, I'm stable, I am the earth, and the earth flows through me. This is what the earth is, right? So when you think about this, you are literally the earth. And if you think it in the terms of the fact that life is within you, that this earth life is within you, then you are having the human experience for that life energy, for that earth energy, right? And so I like to use Metatron's cube because, again, it's something that is a sacred geometry shape. And it holds so much more information. And while you're using this within the guide, I am strong, you will have all the different keys and elements to learn how to build your base and grow. This is very similar to how a tree would, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And the very first thing that you need to focus on is the strong part, right? Because most of us in our lives are very fearful of the unknown, right? But if you have that strength, you have that foundation, you are rooted, you're down, right? You have that, you know that you're unshakable. And with that, it's very, very easy to literally move mountains as trees do, right? So I am strong. At the center of our training, you have to consider the root. So before you can master anything else, your root is something that has to be mastered. Now, if you've had a conversation with me offline anywhere, I'm very, very guilty of not being connected with my root at all. It's just not a thing that I'm into. I like being off in La La Land and these higher places. That's just what I like to do. But as I've been building this, I have reformatted my practices. I even started drinking more, root chakra teas, using root chakra candles, all these things specifically. So when you think about your root, all right, now guys, I'm going to be speaking mostly in form of the tree in my example, but again, use that thinking and think about yourself as this tree, right? So when you have your root, right, within your root, within your base form of that element, of the earth element, you have the seed, right? You have the ability to rebirth, to continue on. You have that seed. You also have the ability to offer nourishment, right? And that's a big word, and we'll get into that. You also are the first structure, right? A tree is comprised of patterns that are built into it that form this structure, right? Everything that has form has a structure. So again, these are the root, the base. As in alchemy, as in chemistry, you want to get to the lowest base form of whatever it is that you're working on, so you know all the different potential outcomes, catalyst effects, all those things that are there. So when you get down to the base of what we're talking about, again, you have your structure. The earth element is the first element. That energy is the first thing that is an actual solid, the first thing that has a form on this plane. So how could it not be the very first one that's there? That's why it's the root. That's why it's the seed. That's why it's the earth. It has to come from that place, right? Now, also, aside from being the first solid, it's also the first thing that gives you any type of foundation. Because it is a solid, you have this foundation there as well. Now, I don't want to say the most important part, but probably the most overlooked important part of the earth element, guys, is its ability to perform transmutation. Right now, this is something, and this is one of those heavy alchemic words. But what I mean by transmutation is the earth, dirt, if you will, has the ability to transmute one type of energy into another type of energy, right? And this is where your life and death cycle comes from, right? Seeds that are planted within the earth can take nutrients from the sun, right? They can take energy from the sun and grow and create life. It can do that. It can do that. It's incredible. And the fact that you are the earth, you have the ability to do that exact same thing, which is incredible. And now here's the thing. When I say, grow and create life, I'm not even just talking about having offspring or having children. That's not necessarily what I mean. Have you guys ever been around someone that's very low, very down, and when you come around and start talking with them, you see their entire being light up, right? And you see that flip, whatever it is, that trigger, whatever it is that you created, that you brought to them, it switched them from being in a very low, dark place to being this bright light. That is you creating life. Think about that for a second. That really is. Now you're not creating a new life, but you are creating a life energy for this person that currently has none. Right now, if we think about the video that I just got done reading to you guys, or that we watched, this talks about how the trees are able to give nourishment to the other trees around them to protect their network, and vice versa. So we're doing and duplicating the exact same thing that the earth is already doing, because again, we are that energy, we are that force, along with the other ones as well. But the earth is the one that you must first start to begin to understand, because this is where so many different patterns come from. This is where your foundational beliefs come from. This is where the seed that you will plant into other people, the ideas, the information that you're sharing, that you're spreading, that's where all these things come from, right? So as we go through the Gaia form, right? And guys, again, this is the overview, and I still have quite a bit of work to do, but the first two forms are pretty much done. What we're talking about right now, when you're looking at this diagram, I'm strong. You have your seed, transmutation, nourishment, root, foundation, structure, and solid. Each one of those different parts within the diagram have probably 5 to 6 different pages dedicated to understanding each one of those in more depth. Okay, but as we go through the chapter, the Gaia form also has some things that change within the Metatron's cube. Okay, so most people work better visually, so I wanted to create it with something where you can use the same type of patterns, the same type of understanding. So now we've shifted, we've gone from being the root, and we've grown now into the tree. All right, does this make sense? Sorry, real quick, Sandra, see network like trees do. Exactly. So instead, thank you for saying that. So yes, instead of a mushroom network like trees do, we have a high vibe tribe. Absolutely. And what that is and again, for the longest time, we didn't understand what it was. And recently, now they say it's fungi, however you want to say it. So to have the idea that science has confirmed that we do generate our own fields, that we are able to acknowledge each other's emotions, that empathy is a real thing. For all we know, it's something like shimashamafangadanga. And that's just some word I made up. If they use it, I want half. But it just because we call it something doesn't mean that we haven't been using it for a very long time, right? I couldn't say the word again. Go back and watch it, write it down. I want half. Anyways, so as we go from the root into the tree, right? Now, some things change. Now, the tree, the transmutation, the nourishment, the foundation, the structure, the solid, all of those, again, are the root, base, and really outer shell of your true form, right? And your true form, I like to use, again, Metatron's cube, because it forms the Merkaba, which is the energy field that is around us. So again, it's all encompassing, even if you're doing it one chakra point or one energy node at a time, right? It's beautiful. So as we go from the seed, in between the seed and the tree, right? Because now we're learning to go up and out. So if you're looking at the diagram, it's something that has to be in between, because as the two energies come from in between, it pushes it upward. And that's what makes it available and tangible here on this plane. So between the seed and the tree is where you have the fruit, right? Between the tree and the nourishment is where you get growth. Between the tree and the structure is where you get your network. Between the tree and the solid is where you get your physical form. Between the foundation and the tree, you will always find sacred geometry. And then between the transmutation and the tree, you will find fertility. This is where life is being developed. Now, as you learn to master and really understand what the seed, the nourishment, the transmutation, what those things mean for you and your being, understanding where your growth, where your fruit, and where your fertility also starts to become into picture, becomes very, very clear as well. So if you consider it this way, if you want to have growth, right, and this is what's awesome about the way that we've designed the Order of Alchemy manual. If you start from front to back, you'll get a very great understanding and a good foundation. On the other hand, if you start at the end and go backwards to the beginning, you'll able along the way to pick out specific ailments, miscommunications, confusion, issues, areas in your life that you need to have improvement. And very similar to how we're looking on this diagram, let's say that you want to have more growth. Well, right next to growth is nourishment. So what is nourishing you, right? In the same way, if you're trying to grow this plant, and because I got the new office, guys, I got to tell you, I found out I do not have a green thumb, and I've not found the amount of organite and wishful thinking and great water and organic fertilizer, and no matter what, I kill plants. I'm sorry. If anyone wants to come out here and show me how it's done, very, very much appreciated. But what I'm saying is, as I've been trying to get these plants to grow, right? Because again, you're the earth. So if I've been trying to get these plants to grow, I've been very mindful about the amount of nourishment that I'm giving them, right? And depending on certain plants have different types of nourishment that they require. The same way that people have different types of nourishments that they require. Right now, that being said, like I have one of those just, tiny little succulents you get at Target or, someplace, that I also have a green bell pepper plant, right? I've been making salsa, I'll show you guys some videos sometimes. Thank you, Sandra. Maybe it is the lights. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it all out together. You guys are my team. Thank you so much. I love you. But again, you're going to give that little succulent a completely different amount of water and a different amount of the natural fertilizer or compost than you're going to give to this bell pepper plant, right? So you have to know that information. So that part, you can't mess up for the plant to be successful. In that same context, if you want your life in whatever area it is, you have to make sure you're giving it the right amount of nourishment. So if it's someone that's you're trying to get a new job, how are you nourishing that need in your life? Are you actually going out and doing the work? Are you taking the steps? Is it something you're sleeping in for? Is it the outfit? Is it just that you're not going out and creating something for yourself? But whatever it is, you have to come to the terms with what is the growth that you need and then nourish that growth so it can grow. Now, here's also very, very great about how this program is being built, right? And how these very old arts have been constructed and really just rechanneled into something that's more tangible and current, I guess, if you will. So next to growth, you also again have the fruit and the network directly linked to your growth. Now, think about this. As you've been going through your life, even when you were in school, you had a very set network. Now, this could have been kids at school. This could have been friends and family. Oddly enough, I remember that even some of the people that, when I was a kid, I considered my enemy, they were even part of my network, just not necessarily in the context that we prefer them to be. But it was still someone that I knew I could count on that this would happen in certain situations. So if you want to have growth, your network also has to be very, very strong aside from the nourishment that you're getting. See, this is why the diagrams in the manual become very, very helpful. Now, next to that, you also have the fruit. Now, this is one of those things that there's always multiple meanings in everything within alchemy, even outside of it, but especially in alchemy. Lots of things have double meanings. So here, the fruit isn't just the fruit that you're being able to give. It's very important that is one of the things that's focused on, but it's also because it's linked to growth and nourishment. It also has to do with the fruit of what you're putting into your body, right? Brian, I've been trying the grounded water. Great trick. I've even tried some, the fourth stage of water as well. And I mean, nothing's died. So something I gave it has saved it. So we're good. But grounded water also. Thank you. So the fruit, right? If you're able to produce this amazing fruit, then whatever situation that you're trying to grow in, you have that fruit, that extra thing that's needed for that growth. But it has to make sure that you're putting the right amount of fruit into yourself as well. So the fruit part has to be there. The network has to be there for your growth to happen. Okay. Now, if we switch this over to, say, the sacred geometry portion of the foundation, right? And guys, if you don't know about this stuff, please go online, look up sacred geometry within the human body, look up sacred geometry within nature. You can look up sacred geometry within whatever it is that you want, it's going to be there. So the sacred geometry is, again, right next to the foundation. Right now, if you consider your foundation as a sacred place, imagine where you're coming from and imagine what that means that you hold and what you're responsible for. If you don't feel like you're from a sacred place, you might be right because you're convinced of it. The moment you realize that where you come from and who you are is very sacred, and that is your foundation, you'll start treating things in your life very, very different. So the sacred geometry ends up being right next to your physical form, and also happens to be right next to the fertility part of it. So here's what's interesting about that. When you're, again, opposite side of that, trying to grow, your sacred geometry is what's going to be the patterns that you do. And if you're walking in sacredness, right? If you're doing this, you're in your divine purpose, then everything that you do and everything that comes before you will be very fertile and very ready for you. It will, if you're in your right path. So if you're having a struggle and things seem difficult, maybe whatever it is that you're doing is not for you. And whoever's telling you that it absolutely is the end all be all probably doesn't know what they're talking about and is miserable also. So forget what everyone else tells you. Even if it's what I'm telling you is not working for you, don't listen. Find what is the thing that makes you excited, that makes you just alive, that life force, whatever that is, grab onto that and build a pattern around it. Understand that that is your sacred, your divine purpose. And with that, you will have a physical form that will manifest in front of you to know what to do next. And whether that physical form is a phone call, whether it's a person, whatever it might be, again, it's going to be solid. Okay. And that's a pun for anyone that's with me on YouTube right now, because solid's right. No. Okay. Anyways. So as before, we were looking at the I am strong portion. Okay. Now what we're looking at is the I am stable portion. So the stability from your root to your tree, to the seed, the fruit, the growth, the network, the physical form, the sacred geometry, and the fertility, mastering these things is what's going to give you the stability for whatever it is that you're trying to develop in your life once you've mastered the root cause of it, right? So all these things can work in the positive and negative, because those positive negatives aren't really good and bad or good and evil. It's really not that at all. It's just two different types of energies in the exact same way. Right. So we don't have there's a morality for sure, but the idea of good and evil being actual tangible energies, I apologize. I don't believe that that's a thing. I believe the conscious intention behind it is everything. So this is where your stability comes from. Now, after this, we get into the I am the earth. OK, now I am the earth. This is where within the Order of Alchemy manual, this is where it gets very, very intense, because this is where it makes you start to reflect on yourself as being the earth, right? So with that, let's start on the outside circle again of the Metatron's cube. And if you were the life of the earth, right? Like, let's say that you were the human experience for all of Earth's energy, that's part of your consciousness, right? Not all of it, but let's pretend, like, for what we're talking about here, that it is. Now, if you're the life of the earth, and as we are human and we are people, and we should have a full understanding of our symbiotic relationship with our planet, we should be treating it very, very sacred. So if that is the case, and you do believe that to be real, and that is what you want, as you are the life of the earth, you have to treat yourself with the same level of sacredness and the same level of respect and the same level of tenderness. And what I mean by that is paying attention to yourself. Okay, so as life of the earth, the earth is able to offer abundance, right? It's able to offer, oh, I did it again. No. I believe it is network, I believe. But that was also an old one. So we're going to skip that. I'll get back to that one. It's material. Excuse me. I apologize. It is material. I was just on the wrong one. So let me get this page back up for you guys. So out there in Radio Land, love you. Okay, there we go. So aside from that, then you have resistance, you have patterns, you have the exchange, and then most importantly, the earth has life. Okay, and so what I mean by life, again, is that exact direct energy, right? That form that there's not really a word to put to it other than just life. It's what it is. It's something that it makes us click. It makes us everything. It makes our consciousness what it is. And the earth is full of it. Literally, it is full of life. Everywhere that you look within the earth, whether it's the sky, oh, there's life. If it's the ocean, oh, there's life. If it's the earth, the dirt itself, there's life everywhere within it. So you have this exact same thing that is within you. And you have to understand and appreciate and utilize it in that sense. So if the life of the earth is abundance, and it has abundance, and it is abundant, then you are abundance, and you have it. Now, the thing is we get very, very set in the idea that we don't have the abundance, and we don't have the need, if you will. Like we have this idea that there's just some things that aren't always for us. So when you understand that that's not true, you have all the abundance, you have everything you need, you stop asking for other things. And what's interesting about not asking for things, they start to manifest all by themselves. Because the same way that the earth has its cycle that gives it all the abundance, you have a cycle that gives you all the abundance. Sometimes it's not always in the way that we think it is, and sometimes it's not always in the way that we want. But the moment that you use it the correct way, you'll see that it's been there the entire time, and it always will be. Well, there is a typo. I'm sorry. I tried finding it. Yes, I apologize. The network part, I believe between life of earth, and between the material would be value. That's what it is. It's value. So the life of the earth has materials, and those materials to all life things on the planet have a value. And depending on what your form is, that's what decides what the value is. So when you understand what the value of the materials that you have, and your materials aren't always necessarily physical, tangible items that you have. I mean, your hands, yourself, your form, those are materials. They're tools, if you will. The life of the earth also has resistance. Now, earlier when we got into I'm strong, I'm stable, this resistance that I'm talking about is that foundation that's so grounded, that's so deep, that winds can't always move it, that water cannot always move it. It has a level of resistance. And you have that as well. But it's something that you can use for you, or it's something that you can use against you. But again, this is something that you just have to get into understanding that you have this in your life. It's part of who you are as a human. And when you learn that that is something that's there, it's something that is always going to be there, you learn how to use it in a way that's most beneficial for you and most beneficial for the situation. After this, we get into patterns. And each one of these guys, if you look, I apologize, values isn't there right now, but each one of those build from literally from the bottom all the way up. So from the sacred geometry comes the pattern. From the physical form comes the resistance. From the network comes the value. From the growth comes the abundance. So the sacred geometry, obviously, as I was talking about earlier, creates patterns. Now, these patterns are also the part of your earthly element that you are of your day-to-day, that you have your pattern, you have your routine. Now, if you're trying to grow and you're trying to become abundant and you're trying to be the full version of who you are, then your pattern is what's going to create that thing, right? If we get all the way back down again, guys, at an alchemic base level to the root of the seed, what makes that seed grow into whatever it's going to be? The pattern of information that it has while it's building. So whether you're going from micro to macro, from literal to metaphorical, all those things always apply the same. So your pattern is going to be what creates the type of life that you're going to grow into. All right, are you guys with me here? Is it clicking? I hope it's clicking. Then from the fertility comes the exchange, and that exchange is give and take, right? That is alchemy in its base form, equivalent exchange, the give and take, and that's going to come from fertility. Now, it's also going to come from right next to exchange is the final part of the inner circle of I am Earth is life. And we talked about that a bunch, and that life comes from the fruit. The fruit gives nourishment. The fruit also drops the seed for the continuation of life, and so on. Now, those are all within the inner circle of the I am Earth part of the manual. Okay, now going to the outer circle. Let's see, Sandra, your ego wants us to stay in the comfort zone. Your soul wants to expand out of our comfort zone. Yeah, absolutely. So Sandra said your ego wants us to stay in your comfort zone, but your soul wants us to expand your comfort zone. Bear, how you doing, man? Thank you. Good seeing you again. And Sandra, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing is your soul will grow as big as you let it, right? And really, guys, I promise you, and this is one of the reasons, if you see me, if you watch the show, I'm always very excited. I'm so happy because my soul feels like it's in this room. It's in your room with you right now. These are energetic things that are real. They're tangible. They're exciting. You just have to understand it and develop it. And the things that you can do are absolutely incredible. So moving to this outer circle of being the earth, I am earth, right? Now, again, very similar, guys. I'm gonna do this kind of fast on screen, on radio, just hang in there. I promise it'll make sense. So from fruit growing up into life, moving outward from life, from the life of earth is embodiment, right? Now, this is one of the things where I would say almost every single human on this planet struggles with, myself included. And what I mean by that is embodying the real version of who you are, right? Now, even if we're not getting down to the spiritual sense, right? We're not getting into the beings of light, being particles of God. We're not getting into those things, right? We skip all that. The embodiment, and what I mean by that is the embodiment of the truth, of your truth. Now, many of us struggle with our day-to-day because our truth is hidden from ourselves. We lie to ourselves to please our loved ones around us that don't always fully accept, understand, or are happy with our truths. So we don't embody the full version of who we are, right? Now, this is the thing, and please message me or do something offline before you have a meltdown, because I don't mean this in any type of negative or evil or bad sense. All right, let me preface this. So even talking with members of my family, I've talked about metaphorically killing off parts of myself, whether it's parts of my ego, it's parts of my habit. It's something that had to go, it had to die, it had to leave my being, my essence, my pattern, my modality. It had to be gone, right? So I no longer wanted those aspects, those traits to embody who I was or who I wanted to be. So when I talk about embodiment and this being one of the upper parts, it's one of the upper parts of the system of the root of the earth, of the Gaia system, but it's one of the ones that when you get to it, it's probably the longest part of the entire earth form to really master, because this is the thing, guys, whether it's good or bad, you have to not take it from a place of judgment. You have to come to terms with what's real and what's not. And so I have a problem with going and working out as much as I should. That's a thing. I'm not trying to justify it. That's the thing that I know I need to work on. I'm not lying about that on camera. Obviously, I'm not lying about that. But we all have different things that we need to do. And it could be little, it could be big, but embodying the truth for yourself is very, very, very important. And the same way that nature has no ego, it's not trying to impress anyone. It's just being itself. So it's beautiful. It's doing what it needs to be all the time for no one's reason other than this is who it is. And that's what makes it so beautiful and so amazing. So also in Life of Earth, we have this energy, right? So now we get most of our energy from the sun. Obviously, we do. But the earth itself has its own energy. It has its own vibration. It has its own life force that's there as well. So that's why when even you're sun gazing, you need to be barefoot and getting energy from the earth as well. So as you are earth, you are energy, pure energy. You also are material, as the earth is material. And here's the thing, guys, to some people, diamond is very, very, very valuable. To other people, it has no value. So don't let other people's judgments or inability to see your value diminish your spirit and your drive and your person, right? Not all things are valued the same way, but we have the society that says these are all the things that are important. And to me, a lot of those things just aren't. And when you let those things go and those judgments, like you'll see it. It's incredible. Yes. Thank you guys for joining. I love seeing this stuff. So then the earth also has paths, right? And we always talk about this. Everyone's on their journey. They're on their path, right? So know that your path will be presented in front of you many, many, many times. You will have it. It will always be there. But if you're going to walk it or not is completely up to you. And not all paths are perfectly paved. Keep that in mind, guys. Information, right? The earth has this constant exchange. And here's what's cool. If we go back to the manual, from the foundation and sacred geometry and patterns comes information. So earlier when I was talking about how a seed develops, it develops from that pattern. That pattern creates the information. So as, again, we come up, we see as these things become bigger and what they become. So, and the way that you'd want your foundation to be very solid, and you'd want your geometry to be sacred, that the information you have would be built on a strong sacred foundation. See, I'm telling you guys, it all comes together. It's very, very important that we implement these things and do it in the day-to-day all the time. And then after the information becomes the circle of life, which again comes from the transmutation, the fertility, and the exchange. So we have all of these things within us. Now, we've got about 10 minutes left. So the next part I'm going to do kind of quick. But again, this is the reflective part of the Gaia form. So if you were the life of Earth, as we talked about, right? I'm the Earth is in me, right? Now, this means that you would want to consider how you would care for the Earth the same way that you would care for yourself, because you are the Earth, right? So if you are the Earth and you wanted to take care of the Earth, what are some things that you would do for the Earth? Right? Would you, or for like a plant, a tree, something like that? Would you block the sun? Probably not. And so because you are the sun, or you are the earth, excuse me, don't block yourself from the sun. Go out and sun gaze. Get some sunlight on your body. It will do amazing things for you. Thank you, Judith. Thank you. I'm winging it, but we're doing pretty good. I've written it out a bunch, and it's awesome sharing this with you guys. Thank you so much. So you wouldn't block the sun to have a successful plant, earth, grow. You wouldn't do that to yourself either. You would not starve it. You wouldn't keep it from having the things that it needs. Earlier when we were talking about the path, you would not lose where the plant you're trying to grow and create is, right? So in the same way that you wouldn't get lost, you wouldn't want to lose and misplace where your plant was yourself, you would not want to get lost either, okay? And we'll get back to that in a second. You would not want to have ignorance about the plant that you're growing, right? Before this, we were talking about information. Well, the opposite of that would be ignorance. So you would not want to not know what it is that you're working on for yourself. So whatever it is that you're trying to develop, you need to get the information so you're not ignorant to what it is you're trying to grow. Like I said, I was trying to grow a succulent. I had to look up information about how do I grow a succulent. Try to grow a green bell pepper plant, same thing. Trying to develop this in my life, I need to have that information. You cannot be ignorant to have what you want to develop. You would not poison your tree, right? So you wouldn't poison your body either. And guys, I'm not talking about just putting bad foods into your body, right? And we can get into the vegan and Kangen water and, you know, all these things later on, but I'm even talking about poison for your mind, right? When I first started dating my wife, she used to watch a lot of reality shows. I'm so iffy about my energy that I did not want her even watching this stuff, and, you know, other stuff also, but, you know, this was just one of the things. I didn't even want that residual energy in my bedroom when I went to bed. So I asked her if she could please not watch it in the bedroom, because I didn't want the residual energy poisoning any part of my being. So poison is not just the food. It's also where your thoughts go, what you pay attention to, all those things. Now, in the same sense that you would not want to have someone come with a big axe and chop your tree down, because it is matter. Your physical being, your human being also is matter. So you have to take care of it, and you have to consider different things to make sure that you're not crippling or injuring it in any way, shape, or form. Right now, going into the inner circle of this, right? So how do we not block the sun? Now, when I say don't block the sun, again, within alchemy, guys, there's always multiple meanings. So if I'm talking about not blocking the sun, I'm talking about not blocking the things that bring light to your life. So if there's certain people that maybe it is a pain in the ass to go see them, right? You know who I'm talking about, but they bring light to your life. You still have to make sure you go see these people. They're good for your development. They're good for your growth. No one said it's going to be easy. No one said it's going to be fun. No one said it's always going to be entertaining, but don't block the things from your life. Do not be inconsistent. You cannot have inconsistency with the things that bring light to your life. And keep in mind the things that bring bad things as well. With starving, to keep from starving, make sure that you have open communication. Now, starving isn't always necessarily just your food. You could be starving for attention. You could be starving for information. You could be starving for a lot of different things, but if you learn to communicate openly, directly, after being able to embody who you really are, right? Once you're able to communicate, then you're able to not starve, and you can go and get the information that you need, right? We will get coffee sometime, Sandra. Good. That's what I'm talking. Yeah, we have to. Me too, though. It's okay. We're all busy. If you don't want to get lost, then know how to get aid and also be able to offer it. Because again, all these things go both ways, guys. Be someone's light, right? Make sure other people around you are not starving. As you would want other people to aid you in, being this big tree, caring for the earth will aid us. It has every medicine, every food, everything that we could ever possibly need. So in that same context, as you are the earth, you have all these things for all the people around you in your life that are important. You really do. Now, whether that's undervalued, underappreciated, that gets into a societal programming part of it. But at the end of the day, you do have these things, right? And so as people could become lost, you can offer aid to them and get them as far as you have. And hopefully together, as we are doing now, building together this school, this place of thought and learning. And it's incredible. To avoid ignorance, always make sure you're developing something in the same way that the tree is constantly growing and the forest is constantly expanding. Our spirit is doing the same thing. Our minds are doing the same thing. Our physical form should be doing the same thing. So consistently always be developing. Always. To avoid poison, and this is earlier what I was talking about, I'm not saying just ingesting poison, even your mind, acceptance. This is another key ingredient to understanding where you are and who you are and where you want to be, is don't sugarcoat it, right? A lot of people that hang out with me and know me know, yes, you look fat in that dress. Yeah, you do. Yeah. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be from a judgy place. Facts are facts. Accept what's accepted, and that's fine. If you don't like how something sounds, you don't get to mope and get shameful about it. You have the option to act on it and improve, or adjust your sails and accept what is and enjoy it. Like, there's no reason that you feel bad unless you decide to do that. That's why it's called self-esteem. This is from an inner thing. It doesn't go around being mean to people, but you can be honest. Imagine this, 2018, and 80% of the people leave the house ready to be lied to all day to get the sugar-coated version of their lollipop world. It's not how it's supposed to be. This is why so many people are so upset and so depressed and so everything, because it's all fake. It's all lies. Accept the reality of what is and build off of that. We're in an amazingly beautiful place. You're just focusing on the wrong stuff. It's okay. We'll get there. The last part of the earth care, and earlier I was talking about how the earth has everything we need, is the medicine, right? So the planet has every medicine for every ailment that's out there. Every person that's out there, I don't care if you believe this or not, you have the ability to manipulate the energy within your body and within the other bodies around you, and every person has their own way of doing it. There are some base practices that you can learn to get from here to there, but understand it takes 8 years to become a doctor with things that you can visually see and tools that are right there tangibly. So people out there that are talking about, I'm working on my energy, I'm working on my meditation, I haven't seen anything, you're at 3 months, relax. You're at 6 months, relax. These trees that we're talking about as we are the earth take hundreds of years to develop to become ancient and old and wise. So don't rush it. Understand that it's going to take time. And this is why the root is so important to master, because you have to learn to master your patience, your anger, your energy. These are things that you have to do. Okay. So I'm telling you guys, this is very, very important. The medicine, not only is that it's there within the earth is the medicine. So you need to be the medicine for other people as well. Guys, I'm telling you, it's this simple. So this is the broad overview of the earth form. So the last part of it, as every chapter closes within the manuals, you will have reflections of whatever the element is. In this case, it is reflections of the earth. Because again, guys, you are the earth. So what is the reflection of you? What are you learning from this chapter, from this video, from what we've talked about? Please leave the comments below. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, share, please subscribe. I'm just a few subscribers away from being able to have a direct channel to get you guys here much faster, much easier. You can also, please, if you not able to get to YouTube, please on artistfirst.com. Amazing shows are on there, guys. You got to check it out. You can find me there as well. Mistech.net. Why would you do this right now? This is a terrible time to do this. Mistech.net is where you can go to find out more information about frequency tools, energy things that I have. Guys, we're just getting started. Okay, so orderofalchemy.com. You can go there now. You can subscribe if you've already subscribed. I apologize that I haven't sent anything out yet. I've been really busy trying to get some things, and we're going to have videos. We're going to have the forums. It's going to be incredible. Anyone that wants to participate, you have any information, you're coming from a place of love, growth, other dimensions. I don't care where you're from. Just come with your open mind, come with your heart, and we're going to change the world, guys. So the Order of Alchemy is studying the Jedi arts. We're just getting started. Halo Marquise, you will find balance. Acknowledge your lead and turn it into gold, guys. I'll see you next week. Love you.